All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is one of my homebrew D&D campaigns at my weird, messed up homebrew D&D campaign setting, and the people below me I have decided for them. They have no choice on this. They are as excited about the new Mana Series game as I am. So, congratulations. You are now excited. Uh, announcements.
Yay.
Um,
Matt Koval, let the else begin with your system.
yes. Speaking of Matt Colville's system, we got an update fairly recently that we might be getting a look at what the system is looking like within the next few months here. So that might be something that's very, very cool. In other news, the Final Fantasy XIV tabletop RPG does exist in the world. The starter set went out, I think, at the end of last month. To people that pre-ordered it, like, I don't know, in the 80s. Because by the time I went to try and pre-order it, it was sold out. So that's cool, and the actual core rulebook is supposedly coming out sometime this summer. Whether or not that happens or not, Square Enix has not been advertising the tabletop RPG at all. They didn't announce that the starter set actually went out to anybody, so I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen to the system. But as soon as it is available, I'll be picking it up just to see what it is. So that should be cool. Other stuff that's going on, not really in the tabletop world, but the Dragon Age The Veilguard, which is the fourth official Dragon Age game, had its trailer that came out that absolutely everybody loved. And there was no dissent and no people getting pissy for no reason at all. Because that's not how the internet works. And then they also did a gameplay reveal, which calmed a large portion of the people that definitely weren't upset at the
Make it like
trailer.
the next day or something.
Yeah, it was literally the next day, and people spent a day being pissy about it. However, I'm a huge Dragon Age fan. The lore itself for the world of Dragon Age is amazing. It is one of my favorite worlds to kind of revisit. And anyone that is a regular watcher of this stream or watches my stuff on YouTube, youtube.com/TrainerJody, knows that every December I do a mini campaign to kind of give me a creative refresh and to try something new that I've never done before. The fact that Dragon Age is going to be coming out in I think early November, I have been considering possibly running a Dragon Age mini campaign in December, because there is a Dragon Age RPG. It was literally the first RPG that I ever ran at a tabletop. Even before I started playing D&D, my very first one is I did the quick start rules from Dragon Age, the RPG. And it uses a system called the Fantasy Age system. And last year, they released a second edition version of Fantasy Age. So if I were to do the Dragon Age RPG, I would probably use, instead of the actual Dragon Age RPG, I'd probably use second edition Fantasy Age. Because it's not really like a new edition. It's just a really large amount of errata. Like everything, it still uses the same mechanics and everything from the original Fantasy Age, which is what Dragon Age RPG uses. They just made a bunch of changes and stuff like that to make it work better. Things like you get to choose your specialization right at level 1 instead of having to wait till level 4. And that basically meant that from levels 1 to 4, there's only 3 classes you can play, which was not fun. So, yeah, so that's something I'm kicking around. I mentioned before, they did a release date trailer for the new Mana Series game. It's called Visions of Mana. I'm super hyped about it. It's coming out August 28th, I think it is, or 29th, somewhere around there, end of August. And so that's another thing. I think it might be fun. I don't know what system I would use. but I thought it might also be fun to run like a little Mana series mini campaign. So I'm starting to think of stuff that'll be happening in December because it takes a remarkable amount of prep time to do that. So I'm excited. I don't know if anyone else cares, but other things happening in the tabletop world. 13th Age 2nd Edition is fully funded, and they're going into production mode now. I think they hit almost all their stretch goals, so like they're going to have an updated SRD for 13th Age, which would be really nice if you want to make 13th Age content, or if you just want to use other people's homebrew stuff. There'll be a way to publish it. There's lots of cool stuff going on with 13th Age. Break, the RPG that I kickstarted like 3 or 4 years ago, looks like it should be getting on store shelves in the next few months here. So as soon as it goes live, I'm probably going to do an in-depth review on that, because it's a really cool little anime-inspired system. My Essential Lessons 20 for this week is late because I've been sick as a dog for the past couple days, and haven't gotten out of bed. So yeah, hopefully I'll have that up tomorrow. But we'll be doing, I think the Yellow Ranger is the only one of the core Rangers we haven't done yet. So that'll be fun. And then I get to do the White Ranger, and then I'm probably going to become a G.I. Joe and do that stuff. So that's kind of cool. Any other big things happening in the world of tabletop RPGs? Renegade has announced that there's going to be a big World of Darkness announcement, I think in the next couple weeks here. And Renegade Con is coming up. If anyone doesn't know, Renegade Game Studios are the people that publish the Essence 20 system. So that's Power Rangers, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and My Little Pony RPGs. They also have the publishing rights to the World of Darkness games. So that's like Vampire the Masquerade, Hunter the Reckoning, Werewolf the Apocalypse. All of those games are now published by Renegade. So yeah, they have said that there's going to be a huge World of Darkness announcement coming soon. So it's possible they might be bringing back another of the classic World of Darkness systems to the modern age, or they could just be announcing a new source book or something for one of the systems already knowing. Right now, I believe they have Vampire, Hunter, and Werewolf are the only ones that they're actively publishing right now. And I don't think Werewolf's been getting a lot of love recently. I know Hunter's been getting quite a few things, and Vampire always gets new stuff. But if you never had a chance to play the World of Darkness stuff, they are interesting, to say the least. Old school World of Darkness source books, the best way to describe them is if someone was writing a novel and then accidentally spilled some game mechanics on it, that is a World of Darkness source book, the old ones. I have not read the new ones. I have been told that they are significantly more source book-like and easier to use as reference books. But they're cool systems. If you've ever wanted to play, a vampire that doesn't go around, doing cool action scenes and blowing shit up, and mostly spends their time plotting and backstabbing all of their friends, then start a game of Vampire the Masquerade. Basically, if you ever wondered what it was like to be in high school with vampires, Vampire the Masquerade, which can be a lot of fun. Yeah. Anything else going on? I can't think of any big stuff.
Tomorrow, Acquisitions Inc. Cyberpunk Red.
No, that was today. That was.
It says premieres 13th on YouTube.
Because I literally just watched it. Oh, that's when it goes live on YouTube. They literally streamed it on Twitch a couple hours ago. So I wanted to tune into it because first of all, Cyberpunk Red, cool system. Acquisitions Incorporated, cool people. Both Jerry and Mike are playing characters. Jasmine Buhler is playing a character, and then the fourth person, I did not recognize their name.
Nora Ibrahim.
Yeah, don't know her, But she's done stuff. It's just not stuff that I've seen. So
Yeah.
she's cool as well. If you never had a chance to, and that's something I don't think people are truly appreciative about the Cyberpunk system, is the Cyberpunk video game was a cool video game. Don't get me wrong. It's a cool game, especially once they fixed all the bugs. It's a fantastic game. But it is not a Cyberpunk tabletop RPG. Like, Cyberpunk tabletop RPG is so much nonsense packaged in such a small little book. It is fascinating. So I will be watching the VOD as soon as it goes live on YouTube, because I love Cyberpunk. It's so cool. And I don't think I have Cyberpunk Red, which is the modern version that they've made. But I think I actually have Cyberpunk 20, I think it's 2050 was the one that came out in the 90s, something like that. Or 2055, something like that. But I have one of the versions of Cyberpunk, and it's a bit of a crunchy system. Kind of, because that was what's popular in the 90s and early 2000s, was super crunchy systems. GURPS was starting to become big then, and everybody was like, well, we have to put more mechanics in. It wasn't until like the 2010s that the rules light systems really started becoming popular, with things like Powered by the Apocalypse and stuff like that.
Yeah, for some reason in the aughts and prior, people were like, they were convinced the crunchier the better.
Mm-hmm. It was nonsense.
I was gonna say they had a trade, or I don't know if it was a trading card game. They had a card battle game that was asymmetric.
Really?
So one side was the corpos defending the network, and the other side was the cowboy trying to hack in.
That's cool.
So, yeah, I got to play it once or twice, but yeah.
That's something that I really, really enjoy, is asymmetrical board games, where you have one person, either playing multiple characters or having more power, and then a couple other people that are kind of put against them. The Betrayal series does it in a really interesting way, where it starts off as a cooperative board game, and then it becomes an asymmetrical antagonistic in the end, because there's a plot twist, and then you find out that one of the people that you've been playing with is actually the bad guy. And the cool thing about it is nobody, including the person that eventually becomes the bad guy, knows who the bad guy is, because it's randomized. And yeah, the Betrayal board game is such an interesting, well created board game.
Yep. They have a legacy version of that me and my friends played. There's also a Scooby-Doo version of it.
Oh, that would be fun.
It's for kids, so you can get the young ones in on it. Yeah, it's awesome.
They also have, what is it, Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, which is a D&D flavored version of Betrayal that got rave reviews. Mm-hmm. So, God, board games are fun. Mm-hmm. Renegade has a new board game that looks really, really cool that I cannot remember the name of it, but I think they submitted it for an ENnie because it just came out this year. And a lot of people have been talking about how much they love the new board game. I don't know what it is, but Renegade's been impressing me. Like, they've gotten a lot of... they've been able to buy a lot of licenses and stuff like that, and when they do turn them into things, they make some pretty solid stuff. Like, G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony, and Power Rangers all have deck builder games. I have the Power Rangers deck builder right on my shelf over there. I got it for Christmas. Their deck builder games are great. They're super, super fun. So yeah, Renegade has been impressing me. They're no Fantasy Flight, but neither is Fantasy Flight anymore. So anyway, I think that's all the cool stuff that's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, whether the bar is I gotta swim with a day for season 3.
Oh yeah, Legend of Vox Machina. Not only did we get a release date for season 3, which I think is in November sometime.
October.
they also announced work on the Mighty Nine
Yeah.
series has started. Is that what they said? I can't
Yeah.
remember.
They were getting started on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which is
Critical
back
Role
to back.
is going to have 2 different cartoon shows running, not technically simultaneously, but being in production during the same production year. I remember reading an article or something, or seeing a YouTube video where the title was, "Is this Critical Role's future? Are they just going to become voice actors?" And I had to bite my tongue going, they are! Like, I don't know if you guys have ever watched an episode of Critical Role, but it starts off with Matt Mercer going, "Hi, welcome to Critical Role, where a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors get together and play Dungeons & Dragons." And then Travis leads the group in guttural sounds that kind of sound like, "We play Dungeons & Dragons!" Like, that's how they start every single... They're all voice actors. They've been voice actors since the 90s. Hell, Taliesin used to be a live, used to be like a live screen actor. He was a child actor. He was on, what was it, Silver Spoons or something?
I think it just took psychic damage.
I just thought it was
No,
so
he
funny.
was. I will give deep cut. Because people have brought it up. They haven't constantly ribbed him because that shit just rubs off, just
Yeah.
blows up, has up like water off the duck.
Well, when you
but
reach your second...
he was the little kid in Mr. Mom.
Yeah. Well, when you reach your second millennium of life, you just start to become a lot chiller. So,
I think one quote I love. I'm going to misquote, even though I said it's my favorite. I think he said like guilt. He said like guilt is for mortals.
he is a cool dude. The thing that blows my mind, one of my favorite shows when I was a kid was the show Recess. What's her name? Gretchen Grundler, who was the super smart kid in the Recess group, is voiced by Ashley Johnson.
Yeah.
They all have tons of acting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just it blows my mind because it doesn't sound like I've heard her voice lots of different things. Gretchen Grundler voice I have never heard her use anywhere else, and it is such a strong part of my childhood. The show Recess. Oh man. So anyway, yeah, Legend of Vox Machina Season 3, which, if you're familiar with the campaign, Season 3 is gonna go dark.
Yeah.
Like, the campaign, there was a few times when I was considering just kind of reaching out to Matt and going, "Hey, you okay, dude?" Like, I do stuff in my campaigns where I go and I will be talking to my therapist on Monday about this. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens and how they adapt Season 3. Season 2, I was kind of blown away with some of the stuff, some of the ways that they chose to deal with certain parts of what happened. So yeah, and then yeah. Mighty Nine, again, I stopped watching Campaign 2, I think it's shortly after they started doing it recorded instead of live. And so while I know what happens at the end of Campaign 2, I didn't watch it live like I did for Critical Role. So I'm excited to see how the Mighty Nine TV show goes. Didn't they also have an announcement or something about more comic book stuff?
I mean, there's pretty much always an announcement.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, there was a new
I know.
Critical Role thing.
Yeah. Another origin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was. Keyleth? I can't remember if it was that or not.
I have not read any of the Critical Role comics, but I've heard good things about them.
Yeah.
Was Colville the author on one of them?
That I couldn't tell you. I can tell you,
yeah.
it's kind of funny seeing the one where because they've done a run. I think they're still going on about it, but with Artie, specifically Artie, the Archfey that Jester.
Oh yeah, Art again.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you guys saw this. Amy Jo Johnson partnered with a name that I can't remember to write and publish a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic called The Return. It was a 4-part miniseries. The 4th issue came out the end of last month, and it is some of the best writing that the Power Rangers comics have had. and that's saying something. Like the Boom
Yeah.
Studio run of Power Rangers has been so incredible, and who would have thought Amy Jo Johnson could write that well and create such a compelling story? I will admit,
Well, she's been doing it for a while.
it is a bit. It is very flattering to Kimberly, the Pink Ranger.
Yeah.
So, like,
Good.
it almost kind of felt like Shatner writing novels about Kirk, and Kirk just happens to always win, and always. It felt similar to that, but I would say that the writing team of Amy Jo Johnson and are better than Shatner.
Boyfriend, see her boyfriend.
It might be, I don't know. I looked up the dude's credentials, and he's been writing in comics for a little while. So it wasn't like Amy was going into this completely blind. She had someone that understood comics, which is really important, because just because you can write well doesn't mean you can write a comic book.
Yeah.
And yeah, everybody has been saying how great the return was, and the end of it teases some other cool stuff, and so I hope beyond all hope that it does well enough that she gets asked to come back and write a sequel to it, because it's just really, really good. So if you're into comics, or if you're into Power Rangers, see if you can find, again, it's only 4 issues, so it's not like you have to, look for 50 some odd issues. Like if you wanted to get the Shattered Grid arc, that's a lot. This is only 4 issues, and they're amazingly well done. So anyway, I think that's enough announcements for now. So lots of cool stuff happening. What can I say? I think that means that it is time for a return to the legend of the 3 kingdoms. The party has left Maidenwell in their attempt to get to Clawsgate and hopefully find one of the 2 remaining generals of the Dark Lord. However, the Webwood lies between them and Clawsgate. The party has ventured through the Webwood before and discovered some unsettling secrets about it. In addition to being inhabited by many different kinds of arachnid creatures, the Webwood does not exclusively get its name from the webs that cling to everything that inhabits it. The Webwood primarily gets its name from what it does to your mind. It webs up your sanity, clouds your senses, and people that enter the Webwood unprepared never leave. So as the party has been exploring, they have had to deal with illusions, with strange occurrences, and the overwhelming compulsion of Vala to set everything on fire.
That's not the Webwood.
Yeah, that's the cool name.
And
You
that,
burn down one forest.
and that is where we return. So,
I want to introduce you to some friends of mine in another game that burned down a bakery.
Go on.
They learned flour is very, very flammable.
specifically when it is suspended in the air. So,
Vala must do science.
remind me, the very last thing that we dealt with. I'm trying to.
We broke through the illusion of the Webwood trying to fool us into various reasons.
Yeah.
The last thing was Relwyn being attacked by a spider that inexplicably spoke Infernal that was able to counterspell one of his abilities and then hugged him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I remember. So, as a reminder of the stuff you did, you guys did the one where you were alone, and that was the most recent thing. And then you guys also dealt with the clearing with the large egg sac in the center, right?
Yeah,
And
we bypassed that.
those are the only two things that you guys did, right? Okay.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I had Relwyn roll one, and then I had Valo roll one, right?
Roll one.
I don't believe
I had-
I did.
You gave everyone the opportunity to roll dexterity,
No.
acrobatics.
To
I
roll for the
asked-
encounter.
Yeah, for
Oh.
the encounter, I asked Relwyn first to choose even or odd, and because of that, you got to pick an encounter, and then I think I had Vala choose even or odd, right? And then you got it wrong, so I picked an encounter for you.
I don't remember if it was me or if it was somebody else, but it
Okay.
might have been me.
Well, just because I can't remember, let's start off with Liliane then. Liliane, choose even or odd.
Even.
All right. I've got so much shit on my little table here. I can't roll anything. Nope. I really want you to redo that one. Here we go. All right. So, after dealing with the illusions that had convinced you all that you had been separated, you were all able to find each other again. And realize that you hadn't really moved that much since the illusion had started. You all had kind of been walking in circles a bit. As you start moving forward again, you travel for another hour or so, and something starts to seem a little bit off. The area ahead seems strangely familiar. So familiar that you could swear that you had passed that tree before. As you walk forward, you see another tree that you could swear was the same. And this keeps happening over and over again. What would y'all like to do?
Um. Oh, the group. Is it me or having had that freeway 4 or 5 times?
This place seems all too familiar.
I don't know if deja vu is something this forest does as well. I wouldn't be surprised.
Do we need like breadcrumbs to make sure that we're not doubling back on ourselves, or some type of equivalent?
Yeah, baby. So kind of label that we can make me.
We'll have to consider outside convention because if we do something like we mark a tree, this place does things.
Yeah,
They could just as easily make a tree laugh. I don't know.
Not sure how we could make a mark that would be permanent would be wiped away.
does everything around it. we were familiar.
To a point. I mean, you guys have been traveling through the same forest for hours, and there's only so many different kinds of trees that are all covered in webs that you're going to go. But as you're sitting here, because you guys are in kind of a wider spot, I wouldn't quite call it like a clearing or anything. But the path that you guys have been following is a bit wider here. And so, because of that, you can see a little bit more of your surroundings. And yeah, everything here looks really familiar. I mean, again, one of the trees, there's a tree right in kind of the center of this wider part of the path. And the tree itself, you guys can definitely remember passing it. The tree itself is really, really wide at the bottom. And then as it grows taller, it's almost mound shaped. And then the rest of the tree kind of comes out of that. So it's a very distinct looking tree. So that one you guys are fairly certain you have seen that exact tree before. The rest of it, you're not 100% certain. There's a lot of trees that look real similar. And bushes and strands of web. So do you all want to do?
They have the ability to speak to the land.
Do you have a spell that allows you to do that?
That's what I was saying. I can remember if someone had that ability. Like animals or plant life.
I can speak to both animals and plants, though. If you want me to speak with animals, that'll take a bit.
As far as you guys can tell, you have not seen any animals recently. Like, you can hear animals, but in the area they're at, there are no animals whatsoever. There's no birds, there's no spiders, there's no creepy crawlies, nothing.
Paula starts looking through her bag for things.
Are you gonna put up 15 tents or something?
Guys, I'll leave a tent, and then 10 feet later, I'll drop another tent, and then 10 feet later, I can drop another tent. No, for some reason, I thought I might have arrows. I don't. We could drop something that I can identify, and then I can cast locate object on it. I will know direction from that, and then we just continue walking, keeping that object at our back.
For how long?
10 minutes. Then I can just cast the spell again.
I mean, most Boy Scouts just find a pin and rub a magnet on it, but that works too for a makeshift compass.
Does the Domain of Dread have a magnetic north?
Who knows?
Vala was in the Boy Scouts for a very short period of time until she started lighting the forest on fire. They frown on that sort of thing.
If you want to do that, yeah, you could do anything from...
Only you can stop forest fire. Val, what did I just fucking say?
That's
No,
Today we're going to learn about fire... Vala! I know you don't listen to anything that I say, but this is the one lesson you need to... No, Vala, get back!
Hey, I will point out so far, Vala did not light the sacks on fire. She did not start lighting the forest on fire to find her friends, and she has not started marking trees with fire.
So wait a
keep
second.
track of our direction.
What you're saying is this sax is not on fire? No one's in late, like, 2010s.
Yeah.
Sex on Fire.
Yeah.
It's a song. It was really
Oh, yeah,
popular when I
yeah.
was delivering
Yeah.
pizzas. Like, it was on, I listened to this alternative rock station. It was on every night, like 7 times. I can't remember the artist.
Yes, I do know that song. I was thinking The Roof is on Fire,
Oh,
but
no. Sex is on fire.
so
So yeah, if you want to do your method of using locate object, you just need to have something unique enough that you can locate it specifically. So even just taking, like, you could take a ration out and rip off part of the ration in a particular shape that you can remember, and that would be unique enough. Or take something out of your pack and put a mark on it. That would
I'll
make
take
it
a
unique enough.
ration and a dagger and carve no fire on it.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, casting the spell works the exact way that you think it should. And now you've got this little kind of beacon in your head of where this thing is.
Okay.
So, what do you guys want to do?
All right, guys, I've got the ration to my back. This way is the way forward.
Okay.
And we're following a path, right?
Yeah, there is a road that goes through the webwood. It sometimes disappears for a few hundred feet, just because erosion or webs and stuff like that will sometimes obscure it. But yeah, for the most part, it is walked on a regular enough basis that you can generally kind of find your way back to the road without too much difficulty. And where you guys are right now, you are literally on a road. It's just a wide part of the road. So, as you guys start walking, Vala, you've got your little thing in your head. You can feel it behind you, and it's just this kind of like bing, bing. And as you guys will walk, not more than maybe like 2 or 3 minutes later, the bing is no longer here. The bing is here.
Val will stop instantly. Okay, it just it didn't teleport. I didn't get any sense that it moved.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, it's not behind us anymore. It's now directly in front of us. It just flipped. I will slowly start walking backwards to see if it flips back.
Depending on how slowly you go, it stays in front of you for a little bit, and then suddenly you can feel it behind you again. As you kind of look over your shoulder, without even thinking, you just kind of look over your shoulder to kind of look in the direction where it is. You look back, and your friends aren't there anymore.
Oh,
We saw the rope on us.
Oh, you're right. Then, yeah, it just... because you're only able to get about 30 feet away from your closest member. And so when you get to the kind of limit of that, it's still in front of you.
this is just weird. It 1 second it was behind, and then it was just in front, and it's still in front of us.
I would assume, Vala, you were in the front of the party as you were walking away from it, right?
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, since going from front to the back would basically just require you guys to kind of switch your order, because, again, you're all tied to one another. You go past the point that you remember it flipping, and it's still in front of you. And then, again, you eventually get to the point where you just can't go any further because you have a rope.
Keep walking away from it.
Yeah, let's keep walking back.
Okay.
We're walking.
So, a very short time later, you suddenly feel it go from in front of you to blip behind you again.
It just flipped again.
Okay.
What again? What if we try going um to the side
You mean
to get one?
off the path? Seem like the best idea, but
Just to inquire, we are not in the visual range of the arrow, right? We just know that it's in that direction.
Yeah, you guys can't see it
Yeah.
anymore.
What if
You
now
only
that
you only have visibility right now about maybe 100 feet. So to make things easier on me, let's say that you guys have walked, I don't know, somewhere between 500 to 600 feet before it switched on you.
does anybody else have the ability to cast light as well? I was considering something.
I can.
I am not cat that I can pretty much create it with
Do you,
my
do you want
sword.
vanilla light or dancing lights?
Just light, something you don't that doesn't take concentration.
Uh, I will cast light.
So I was just going to take like a pebble just to try something to cast light. I'll cast light on mine first. We put it right there behind us, and we have a visual thing as well as your arrow behind us. And I was thinking until when we lose the visual part of the light, then someone else leaves a marker behind light, perhaps, depending on how far it takes for us to see the light before disappearing. As a cantrip, so it just lasts an hour until we recast it.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so you guys cast a light, like you just find a piece of the path itself, because while it's not technically paved or anything like that,
Yeah.
it is compacted dirt from just
Yeah.
how often it has been traveled. And so you just find a portion of the path that is solid enough that you don't think it's going to dissolve or anything. You cast light on it, you place it down, and you start walking.
And the idea is, if we can, to keep a visual orientation of light as well until we see it. And if we start to lose it a little bit, then someone else casts light, and then
Okay, yep. So after you guys go, again, it doesn't take you, and you're walking away from the ration, right?
Yes.
Okay. So again, it doesn't take very long for you guys to walk, and suddenly the light just winks out. Maybe I have to do math here. After about like maybe 100, 150 feet, somewhere in there, the light just winks out. No warning, just gone.
we see it wink out, I'll immediately put down a light on another stone as we keep moving away.
And when it winks out, the ration changes.
Son of a bitch.
Wait a minute. Are we strung out? Or are we together? We're strung out, right?
I assumed you guys were strung out.
Okay. Let's start walking back. Keep an eye out for that pebble,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as everybody sees it, call out that you see it.
All right, so you
So-
guys start walking back, and again, it doesn't take. It's less than a minute for you guys to eventually get to the point where you guys can suddenly see the pebble, and it's really close. Like it's within about 20 feet of you guys, and it just kind of winks into existence.
And we all call out that we see it at the same time.
Exact same time.
Okay. That rock just appeared.
Yeah, we just
It's-
saw it.
We all saw it at the same time.
You should
All
have
right,
seen it sooner.
Well, you should have seen it sooner than I saw it. If it's a range thing, it's not. It's guys. Let's huddle up. So I'll get real close and then walk away from it and see how long it takes for it to disappear. I think it'll be much faster.
Is that what you guys are doing? Thank you, phone.
Guess so.
Okay. So yeah, if you guys are all together, it is significantly faster where it just winks out of existence and the ration moves.
Stargate rules. The teleportation doesn't happen until all of us, since we're a continuous locked group, move over this threshold point.
So what do you guys want to do?
We can go pick up the ration and eat it, but I don't know if that would be useful.
I have snacks.
We could try going. Oh, we don't even know. We presume that we're still headed in the right direction. It's just we only get so far. We get bamfed back to the beginning, so we're just going through this section of the forest over and over and over again.
Yeah, that
Or-
was maybe we do go into all the break that pattern.
As I say, we're made to believe we are. It took quite a bit for I saw through the illusion of a giant spider talking infernal to me.
I could try casting True Sight and
Yeah.
to see if this is an illusion, but
I mean, we have established the forest is capable of illusion.
yeah, but it's the illusion of hiding the light from us and then also messing with my locate object. It's more than just like a visual and auditory senses. If we try going, we kind of have an idea of where this boundary is. If we try going off the path and around it to get back to the path, that might work, but leaving the path seems dangerous. I don't know that it's not.
It's not risky, but I mean, right now we're not going in for a Romeo circle.
No. We can certainly try it. Follow will take another ration out of her bag.
Mm-hmm.
And carve into it, not my idea.
Okay.
And drop that center of the path.
All right. Now,
So that way,
just as a reminder, locate object is a concentration spell.
yes.
So if you cast it on this new thing, you will lose your ability to locate the old one.
Correct. My idea right now is I'm going to keep focusing on the old one.
Okay.
And if we get horribly lost, I could then try to find the new one.
Okay. Makes
Get
sense.
back to the path.
So
I think
the question you guys have, if we're looking down the path, if you guys want to go off the path, you want to go to the left, or you want to go to the right?
I think it's important that we start this off where we can see the light
Okay.
and the no fire ration is behind.
Okay.
So in theory, we're on the south side of this.
To make
trap.
this easier for everybody, I am going to draw on our map. So this is the path. Squiggles is the tree. And the X is where the tree was. And I'm just going to move this to a spot that's easier to see.
I've got a birthday party that I'm going to tonight, and one of my
So yeah, the squiggles there. I have to see if I have this set up or not, so that the audience can see this too. Hold plus. So yeah, now the audience can see it too. Not exactly how I'd like it to be. Nope. Really? There we go. All right. So there we go. So audience can see it now too a little bit. So as I mentioned before, squigglies is the tree. The X is where your original ration is, and then this is where little circle there. That is where your new ration is, because you guys are near the kind of end of this path. Does that make sense? So if we're doing it this way, then north or south instead of left or right, so you guys know what we have. Make sense? Okay, so do you guys want to go north or south? Go back here.
We want to be higher. Now,
Okay. So as you
Okay.
guys go, all right.
South is the direction we want to go. Yes.
So, and just so I understand what you guys are doing, you want to go off the road and then start cutting east again to try and get around this barrier, right? You're not just going to keep going south.
Correct.
Okay. So, as you guys get off the path, moving through the more heavily wooded parts of the webwood is significantly slower. The undergrowth in and of itself is very, very thick off the road. There are significantly more webs hanging from the trees, and the fact that you guys are all tied together, the ropes between each of you keep getting snagged on various things. So what took you less than a minute on the main road takes you the better part of 5 minutes, and your locate object spell is about to wear off at this point because it only lasts for 10 minutes. So as you figure that you've got maybe a minute left, you have already made your turn and started going. And eventually you get to a point where, again, the ration blips from over here to somewhat in front of you.
Guys, it flipped again. And I'm gonna run out of that spell real quick. Do we want to turn back?
At this point, you can't see the road just because of how thick the forest that you guys are is in, and the fact that the road, for the most part, is just an absence of trees. And so looking for something that doesn't exist or trying to see an absence of something is significantly more difficult than looking for something that does exist. So, what do you all want to do?
Yeah,
Well,
I
wait, we
mean,
we were carving a path through the woods, right?
Kind of, you were walking through the woods. You weren't really carving. Like the thing
We
with
weren't hacking it.
the thing with the undergrowth and stuff here is it is remarkably resilient, and the webs that coat everything reinforces it. So even when you guys are getting snagged on bushes and stuff like that, after you go past them a decent amount, you can't really see the path back. It's one of the reasons why people stick to the path so absolutely in this place, is because if you get far enough away from the path that you can't see it and you can't remember which direction it is, there's very little chance you're going to find it again.
Hmm. Oh, so do we try to backtrack to get back to where we were, or do we try to just start heading west to get back to the path?
Oh, we may want to be back on the path.
yeah,
At the very least.
yeah, I mean, she went by the and it was at this point, so let's go back
Okay.
if we can.
So it does take you guys the better part of 20 minutes to actually find the path again, but you weren't that far off from it. So you are eventually able to get yourselves back on the path. Choose even or odd, because your locate object spell has been off for a little while at this point. I'll let Vala choose it this time. Even or odd.
Odd.
Okay. When you guys get back to the path, you do see the ration and the light rock when you come back in.
Okay. All right. So we somehow made our way back to the far edge of the circle. Does anybody have a bow and arrow? Surely one of us.
I mean, I do. I don't use that often, but I do.
I have a crossbow, I think.
All right. Oh, I do have a crossbow.
Wow!
What?
Tent, tent,
Wow.
tent, crossbow. What tent? Oh, wait. Shit.
All right. So, I have an idea. Probably stupid, but all right. So Vala is going to pull out the crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, what's the range on a longbow?
120, 600, if I remember correctly. Crossbow's a lot shorter.
Right. Okay. So,
I can look it up real quick.
well, my theory here is distance. We take the bow, I mark it, or the arrow, I mark it so that it's unique. I cast locate object on it. I cast light on it, and then we just fire it south and see what happens.
So, crossbow, a light crossbow is 83 to 20. A heavy crossbow is 100, 400, and a longbow is 150, 600. And a short bow is 8320 if anyone has a short bow.
So if we do that, we can maybe get an idea of
How far?
how far this barrier is, or at what point it kicks in.
Yeah.
If we know how far it is, and we can see where it, well, then that would just tell us where it starts.
I mean, do we want to did I have a right for you have a longbow? I mean, we went right to, like, wait, right to the point that did it.
I think my idea is just trying to find out where this barrier actually
Alright.
is. My my other thought is if this barrier just deals with um physical distance, you have to cross a threshold. What if we don't cross it physically?
Interested to hear where this one is going.
All right, follow. Yeah, let's just try this. Follow will just pull out her crossbow,
Mm-hmm.
pull out the instructions on how to load it, put the crossbow bolt in,
As
cast
soon as
light on it.
well, pump action. Pump. Oh, the crossbow. Okay, no, never mind, guys. I got it.
So she'll load a bolt into it, cast light on the bolt,
Okay.
aim down the path, and fire.
Just for my information, if we're treating the path as in going west to east, you're firing, and you guys are near the rations at the eastern edge, you're firing to the east, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you sit there, you fire it. It's because of just how fast crossbow bolts go. It seems to almost instantaneously disappear. You do see some motion, but just because of how fast it goes, you have no idea how far it went before it disappeared. But it wasn't super far.
Okay. I'm gonna back like 30 or 40 feet up,
Mm-hmm.
or back 30 to 40 feet to the west.
Okay.
Repeat the experiment, only instead of having a 0-degree angle, I'm gonna raise it about 45.
Okay. Again, crossbow bolts go insanely fast. So in less than a second, it's gone. You do see movement, and you think it might have taken longer than the last time for it to go, but it's so fast that you simply don't have a way to measure anywhere near accurate enough to figure out when it's disappearing.
Okay. Uh, she'll repeat the experiment for a third time,
Okay.
this time at an 80-degree. Right now. I know it's close. And that's fine. But I also am trying to see how high
it
this
goes.
barrier
Okay,
is.
yeah. So to make things easier, you repeat this experiment, let's say a dozen or so times, changing elevation each time. Doing that, you get the idea that whatever this barrier is, it seems to be you have yet to find an upper limit of it. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So
All
no
right.
matter what you do, going all the way up to nearly straight up, because you're not quite dumb enough to shoot it directly straight up. But even going nearly vertically, you don't find a kind of an upper limit to this.
Okay. So we can't go over it. My other thought, guys, I could try Dimension Door.
That'll only take one of us.
Yeah, you
Or-
can't
or-
take us all.
Well, 2 people at max.
Right. Well, yeah, I could take myself, one other person. If that works. I'm also wondering if people will cross the threshold, perhaps not on this plane of existence.
The problem with that would be
Or can Argenta, your ethereal step only takes you, correct?
Yes.
See, there must be something else to this because caravans have come through here before,
Hmm.
and the one thing that seemed to be when, at least when I was traveling, they made sure that we couldn't see anything while the caravan led through. So that would lead me to believe that the caravan expedition leading knew something in the context of what it would take to get through the webwoods.
I I have an idea. It's maybe a horrible idea. And Vala will untie the rope.
Mama.
I just have.
I just want to talk to him. I
I-
just want to talk to him.
I'm just gonna step forward with my eyes closed. I'm not gonna look at anything
Mm-hmm.
and see if I can walk across.
So because you've stepped back a decent amount to do your experiment, it takes you a little bit of time, and especially since walking with your eyes closed is a lot more difficult than it sounds.
I am going to once again. I will cast locate object.
Okay.
This time on the not my idea ration,
Okay.
so it's a little bit closer. Close my eyes and just keep heading in a straight direction.
Okay.
Why aren't we all doing this tied together?
That's a great question. Do I hear him ask that question?
I mean, again, due to the fact that walking forward with your eyes closed is a lot more difficult than it sounds, you probably wouldn't have gotten very far before he asked that question. So I'll say before anything happens, yes, you would have heard that.
Science?
You say that, and I really don't think you understand what that means.
Yeah.
You say it often, and then
It,
I think I
Keep
I think
using
you-
that
I-
word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
I think you keep saying that as a justification, thinking that will explain the course of action you take.
Vala pulls out her tome and says, "No, guys, I write it all down. It's fine."
As long as you write it down, then that's science.
That's right.
So, do you want to continue going?
I'm going to continue going.
So, probably about minute and a half, you feel the blip where it goes from behind you to pretty far in front of you. As you guys are watching, you're having Vala doesn't get that far away, like maybe 50, 60 feet away, and then suddenly Vala gets incredibly difficult to see. You don't quite understand why, but you just have a hard time kind of focusing your eyes on Vala, and then Vala's not there.
Oh.
Son of a bitch.
Vala, if you
Vala-
open your eyes, you are completely alone.
Fuck. I will about face and power walk backward.
Okay.
Power walk to them.
So, less than a minute later, again, Vala is there. You're not quite sure where she came from. She just seems to be there suddenly.
Alright, let's repeat that, but hands on each other's shoulders.
Yeah, let's
close
just
your
tie
eyes.
just tie the rope back around you and then we
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll all close our eyes and we'll walk forward.
Well, I don't know that it did anything. Did you guys?
It-
Was there a flash?
No, you kind of
Just
disappeared
appeared?
and you just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
reappeared.
You phased. It kind of looked like you phased. You did like it's very quickly. Kind of, it got very hard for us to focus on you.
Yeah.
Really? Is the baby still in a portal?
In
I will say,
We could tr-
because of how slowly Vala was moving, you guys have a much better idea of the rough location of where the loop starts than you've had thus far.
How,
Because again, the crossbow bolts were just going too fast for you to make any kind of decent observation. But Vala was moving relatively slowly, and so
so about how far was it between when I uh how far away was it before I disappeared?
anyone that wants to try and figure that out, just give me either just a flat intelligence check or a history check.
18.
Okay.
Uh,
And
dirty 20.
okay. Lillian.
Um, sorry, I didn't hear you well.
Oh, sorry. Either flat intelligence or history check.
Alright. Um, 18.
Okay. So between
I assumed it is a Philippine and
nope.
alright.
So between the three of you guys, you think that it was roughly about 60 to 80 feet ahead of the furthest person, or the one that is closest to this barrier. So you think somewhere within about 60 to 80 feet of where you guys are standing right now is where this barrier starts or ends, however you want to name it.
Can we see like 200 feet down the path?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or no, you can only see 100 feet down the path because you can only see
Oh.
about 100 feet anyways. But you can see, like, the closer you get to this barrier, you don't stop being able to see further. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess so. Here's my thought, team. If I take one person and we dimension door, that should theoretically get us to the other side of this trap. Once I'm on the other side, I can just walk back. And then I can grab another person and dimension door. And then walk
But
back.
how will you know where that man is going to?
100 feet that way?
Alright.
Does Dimension Door require concentration or no? I don't think it does.
No.
Okay, cool. So if you want to do that, go ahead and pick a partner.
Argenta?
I'm sorry, how long? Visually, you said 60 feet, correct?
Well, somewhere between 60 and 80 feet. It's still, seeing it only one time, you haven't been able to specifically pinpoint it. If you guys want to effectively do that experiment over and over again, you theoretically could figure out where the barrier is. But doing it just once, you have about a 20-foot range that it could be in.
I
Does that
have
make sense?
I have something that would last a minute. I was thinking because it has a range area of 60 feet. If I cast spiritual weapon and just kept it in front of us,
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
because
No.
it's not an object, so technically it also can't be teleported or moved
Well,
in that matter if it is the object.
but we needed to. Or are you saying? I guess I'm not sure what you're saying.
The spiritual weapon itself can't be messed with in such a manner. We may be able to, but you don't seem to notice any kind of a shunting.
Right, but so are you? But are you suggesting? So if it can't be moved, we can't just advance it slowly until it disappears.
But I can make it move. It is a spiritual weapon. It is a I don't know if they ever actually give any kind of a context, but it's essentially It exists. It doesn't. But it has form and substance to a manner of speaking, but it's also not a creature or an object. So I can just keep it moving for a minute in front of us if we have that as a guiding point.
Right, but so if you have this in front of you,
Mm.
it will just keep moving. You will disappear if you're following behind it and get wrapped back. Right?
I mean, I can keep it within a certain range. I can move it up to 60 feet. I can. And it moves at a rate of 20.
Right.
If it's like turn based, it's like a minute.
And what happens if you're no longer close to it?
If I just move away from it out of a range, I think
There's nothing in the spell. Well, I mean, so the spell itself has a range of 60 feet. So when you originally cast it, it can be no further than 60 feet from you.
yes.
But there's nowhere in the spell specifically that says if it goes further than 60 feet, it disappears or it stops working. Which other spells in 5th edition will put that limitation on. If you're more than this far away from it, it stops working.
I would imagine the limitation would be my visual.
Well, that might
eye
just be for moving it.
Yeah, I mean, all it says is as a bonus action on your turn, you can move the weapon up to 20 feet and repeat the attack against a creature within 5 feet of it. So the only limitation I would say is in order to know that there's a creature within 5 feet of it to make the attack, you have to be able to see it. But there's nothing else in there that says that you need to keep visual... you need to keep line of sight to your spiritual weapon in order to use it or anything. So if I was to rule, like, if you were to make your spiritual weapon go around a corner, I would say you wouldn't be able to make attacks with it because you have no idea if there's a creature within 5 feet of it. But it wouldn't disappear. It wouldn't disappear or anything like that. And you might run into issues where if, like, it went around a corner and then there was a pillar in the way, you wouldn't be able to move it through the pillar because you wouldn't know that the pillar was there. So that would be my ruling, is you theoretically could move it. However, you might think it's moving 20 feet and it runs into a pillar and just does like the NPC walk into the pillar for 15 of that 20 feet. Does that make sense?
So basically we could use this. You cast it, and then either you or us or some combination walk until we don't see it anymore. And it stops, and then we know where the barrier is.
That's one way we could do it. My intent was just basically to keep it moving ahead, since it can't. Theoretically, it might not be able to mess with it.
So just so I can understand, what Rowan, what you're suggesting is you think, because it's not an object, that when it hits the barrier, it won't teleport. So you can just keep sending it
to see if it
beyond.
will keep.
Okay.
To keep my intent was to just keep it moving at the same pace, in the same direction, going forward. I may have also stumbled across someone else having an idea with it.
Okay. So just so I understand what you're trying to do, your theory thus far is that if the spiritual weapon hits the barrier, it will be able to keep going, right? That's what you think?
See if it will.
So if you want to do that, you 100% can. You just need to cast a spiritual weapon, and again, it moves slowly. It moves a lot slower than you guys. It only can move a maximum of 20 feet per turn, and technically, humanoids in general can move 60 feet per turn. So it's going to be slow. And it only lasts for a minute. So
and I could cast it at whatever range they think that I might want it. Like it at.
Yeah.
Do you want me to cast it at 60 feet or?
I would say 40 and then move forward. By the way, Vala has pulled out her book and pen so that way we can record this for science.
Okay.
So I'm just rereading the spell again because you guys 100% are peeing on the ignition right now and have to figure out how this is going to work.
Was that not what we were supposed to do?
I mean, yeah, but
I will mark it off.
It wouldn't be uncool for how another scenario was protection.
And however this goes, I'll have marked it off.
yeah. No, I'm just thinking about how this works. Is the issue. Yeah. So the way that I'm going to rule it, so as you cast it, and you cast it well within where you guys think the barrier is, because again, you have this like 20-foot range where you think the barrier is. So Rel, when you start by casting it well within, and then you just start pushing it forward 20 feet every 6 seconds. Forward, and after a little bit, you can't see it anymore.
And this
Very
is before the minute's up?
About halfway through it, yeah. And you know this spell is still working because you can still effectively feel the spiritual weapon. It's just not in front of you anymore. And in the minute that you have for the spiritual weapon to work, if I'll have you roll another just flat intelligence check.
Okay. Of course, not now. 6.
6, yeah. It's confusing enough for you that you're able to redefine it from a 20-foot area down to a 10-foot area, but a minute is just not long enough for you to get the specific area of where it is. So you now have a 10-foot area that this barrier could exist in. If you want to cast the spell again, you can probably figure out exactly where the barrier is.
Now, it does disappear halfway through, so are you saying, like, if I try to call it back to me, it won't... It does not reappear?
If you have it move backwards effectively, it does reappear. And so that's how you were able to narrow it down from 20 feet to 10 feet. It's just a minute was not long enough for you to be able to get the exact location. But again, if you wanted to cast it one more time, you could get the exact location of where the barrier is.
Okay, well, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll explain what it... Obviously, they're all seeing this, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now you guys know the exact place where this barrier loop kind of thing starts.
Okay.
And if you guys want to, you can make a mark or something on the road to kind of indicate where it is. So you guys know where this side of the barrier is.
Bala uses prestidigitation to make a line, but to make it very easily visible, it's going to be like alternating black and white squares.
Well, Roland will just drag his mace and just...
I really like this idea of Vala gets up there, is like, guys, don't worry, I got this. And then starts kind of like prestidigitating, and you guys start seeing this weird kind of checkerboard pattern. And then Relwyn just kind of walks up, like maintaining eye contact, just walks up with his mace and goes...
No, it's not even on my feet. He's just like, I'm just covering your bases.
Fair enough.
Science.
So, you guys got the line. What do you want to do with that line?
Oh God. My new goal is to tell the Dark Lord I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Gotcha.
All right. So I'm going to get about 10 feet from behind the line.
Okay.
Pick a point about 100 feet past it.
Okay.
Argenta,
Yeah,
want to go for a ride?
sure.
Could I suggest something before we do this?
Sure.
What if, because again, recounting what I went through when we traveled and what you just tried to do, what if one of us, I don't know, one of us close our eyes and does what you did, but the rest of us, because we should still be tied together, what would happen if someone walked through while tied together?
I think once the last one of us crosses that line, we'll be back where we started.
Okay.
We can try it first.
If you guys want to
before
test that
Dimension
idea, it will take you less than 5 minutes to do. So
I was gonna say, because if we actually know where the barrier is and we witness the transition,
So yeah, if you guys want to go that route, very similar to what Vala just described, if you guys are all connected, once the last one of you guys crosses that, if you look back, you can no longer see the mark on the ground. And then if you walk backwards, once the last one of you crosses the other side of the barrier, which you don't technically know where it is, because there's no mark on it, but eventually when the last one of you guys passes over it, suddenly the mark is in front of you. Does that make sense?
I think so, and that's regardless of how many of us have our eyes closed.
Yes.
Okay.
If you guys want to, because you know where this mark is, if you want to mark the other side, again, it would take you like maybe 5 minutes to kind of figure out where it is and mark the other side as well. So now you have marks on both sides. I'll even draw so we can see. So you have a mark there and a mark there. And the one here also has a little checkerboard pattern next to it. So, you going to cast your dimension door?
I'm going to cast Dimension Door.
Okay. And how far are you teleporting? You do. I think it's up to 500 feet.
Yeah, but we can't. I believe we can't see really more than 100.
Yeah, 100 is as far as your vision will go right now.
And
sorry, I was gonna ask something. If we're at the distance marker and we throw just pick up a pebble or something and cast light on it, and we throw it, does it just instantaneously vanish?
Yes.
Okay.
I will.
Right, you guys have done enough experimentation. You know exactly where the wall is, effectively.
Well, no, I was also curious if we see anything beyond that, but it's
Yeah, everything that you guys have done at this point, you know the exact point where it is, and you've done enough experimentation that it seems that everything that hits that point vanishes as soon as it is completely through it.
I wish to do one more test before we do Dimension Door.
Okay.
And that is, I will get up to the barrier, but not past it.
Mm-hmm.
And 60 feet in front of me, on the path, I will cast Bonfire. I want to make sure I can cast a spell through the barrier.
As you... It's a very good question.
Oh, that's an interesting thing, because I also have a theory. What happens if you have rope and you have mage hand and it goes in front of you?
So... this spell doesn't work. You can't cast Bonfire on the other side of the barrier.
My God, am I the real Vala?
Does it depend? Does the spell depend on line of sight?
Concentration up to 1 minute. Create a bonfire. High ground. You can see within range. Vala will step over the boundary just to make sure I didn't cast bonfire behind us.
Sure, as you go forward, there's no bonfire.
Okay.
There's a mark on the ground behind you now, and all your friends are gone. And then if you walk backwards, all your friends are there. But the spell didn't cast.
Okay. Now I don't know if this is gonna work, but it's worth a try, I think. So I will use a 4th level spell slot, grab Argenta, and cast Dimension Door 100 feet past the
Okay. So
past the line.
as you teleport, you feel the kind of familiar sensation of teleportation. And Argenta, due to your experience kind of plane jumping and things like that, and the fact that you are a Rift Stalker, you instantly can tell there's something wrong with this spell when you cast it, because this is not a normal teleportation. You've had Dimension Door cast on you before. You've done other teleportation style abilities. This teleportation feels very, very wrong to you. And as you guys appear, for Relwyn and Liliane, you watch and they just disappear. And you don't see them reappear 100 feet away. When you guys do appear, you look around and you look behind you. You don't see your friends. You do see a line in the sand.
Son of a bitch. All right.
There's something severely messing with teleportation. I honestly don't know how to solve it.
I mean,
I
I still wanna.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, are they back with us or?
no,
Yeah.
If they want to be, they can walk back to you guys. Again, they only went 100 feet. So,
I am going to go back across the threshold,
okay.
but I'm gonna moonwalk.
Okay, you destroy some of the line as you moonwalk over it.
Wait, moonwalking is backwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
because it requires you dragging your feet, you do destroy some of the line.
Moonwalking reverse is just walking forward.
Yeah. But you are able, you guys watch as Vala comes in, inexplicably grabbing at her crotch and going, hey! But she's there.
So that didn't work. Thought maybe I would try walking backwards across the threshold just in case.
I think also we need to keep it more simple, because people who have transversed this, perhaps they're doing it mundane, perhaps they have some way of navigating this.
Relwyn, because this is where, well, I guess no, because you didn't live in Clawswood or Minwell, and the person that started in Clawswood is in Tormund Rift right now. Well, Relwyn, I'll let you do this because you would be the only person that would have experienced going through the Redwood as part of a caravan. Go ahead and make me a history check.
Okay. Give you one more chance, and I maybe roll physical die.
To anyone watching, you can use your channel points to help influence the game. You can give the players reroll tokens. You can give them inspiration, which they can use to get advantage on rolls, stuff like that. It's all done through the channel point system. So, what do we got, Rowan?
11.
11. Just
I'm going to be using a physical die.
just barely enough. One of the things that you remember when you got to Clawsgate. Clawsgate in and of itself is a strange city because unless you are leaving Clawsgate for some reason, nobody... the city itself looks mostly deserted because everybody stays inside all the time. You weren't able to get a good answer as to why that is. When you first got there, you thought maybe that the city itself was deserted, but eventually you did find a place to be able to take you across the webwood, and there were people there, and no one would give you a straight answer as to why nobody was outside. But one of the things that was emphasized to you is that caravans through the redwood can't go until there's enough people to go. Like, you don't have small caravans going through the webwood. With an 11, you don't remember the exact number, but there was somebody had made mention that you need a specific number of wagons before you can go through the webwood. You can have more than that, but you can never have less than that number. You don't remember what that number was, but
Clarification, wagons or people?
wagons.
Okay. I don't remember how many there were, but there was a requirement to have a certain number of wagons going through.
And we all correctly wake up.
So maybe enough people to justify a certain number of wagons, all within line of one another. And perhaps that way couldn't be affected by the teleportation zone
Were
pocket.
were were the wagons connected by anything?
With 11, you can't remember.
I can't remember. I do remember we were because you said we were closed inside like a covered
Yeah,
wagon.
you were in a covered wagon, so you couldn't see outside.
I think and you said they made sure that we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't see outside.
Yep. So the wagons might have been connected. They might not have. You don't know. It's a bit hazy. It was months ago that you went through this, and you were dealing with some kind of massive culture shock because going from
Well, for one thing, I left the village.
yeah, you'd never left Meisenford before. Ebenthorn was very, very strange to you because everybody left Ebenthorn all the time, and there were people just showing up all the time to Ebenthorn to go hunting. And that was strange because you don't go hunting outside the city in Meisenford. That'll get you killed. And then Clawsgate, again, seemed abandoned. And it was a completely thriving city that looks like a ghost town because no one goes out on the streets. So you were just kind of in this massive amount of culture shock that you just simply can't remember, unfortunately. But you do distinctly remember they would not go until there was a specific number of wagons that were part of the thing. And you would be able to kind of figure out the wagons, because of how wide the road is at any given point, the wagons would need to be single file. There's nowhere in the Webwood where you could have multiple wagons next to each other on this road. So
So keep enough wagons together, a certain amount required, a large enough number to go beyond being affected by the radius we seem to be trapped in.
No.
That would be a pretty long caravan, but
I
maybe.
mean,
you guys-
the way was
Yeah,
hard.
I mean, traditionally speaking, a caravan is sizable to some extent.
and you
Well,
guys
the
I mean, the
you guys
way
have
was-
both extremes of this barrier marked. So if you guys want to take, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you can measure how large the area that is affected, at least as far as along the road is. Because you have both sides marked now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
So-
measure it out. It's
Okay.
less than 1,000 feet.
Yeah, 600 feet. Roughly. Like, it's not exactly 600 feet, but for our purposes, 600 is a good estimation of it.
How much road do we have?
You know, I know I have the standard amount. I would have the standard amount myself.
Each one of
Yeah.
you normally has 50 feet of rope
Yeah.
if you have a single thing of rope. If you have multiples, like 250 tents. But yeah, a regular length of rope is 50 feet.
Yeah.
How about we build an elevator on the side?
I mean, it's theoretically possible.
What is a wagon but a moving platform for a tent?
So we each get a tent and we get a couple coconut shells.
Well, all right. So I think the working hypothesis here is that if the length of our caravan exceeds the 600 feet, and we can't, we don't bamf until we're over it. If we are across both thresholds, then we can't be moved back on ourselves. But I don't know how we stretch ourselves out to 600 feet and remain connected.
And we don't remain connected. I don't know it still works.
So if we all just walk forward with the power of friendship, leaving enough space in between us, those bonds will prevent us from being teleported back on ourselves.
Bonds is Fabula Ultima. This is D&D.
Well, technically, they have fun.
Good point. They work slightly differently. Bonds are a role-playing thing in D&D.
I was gonna make a Vala joke about bondage, but roleplay works too. All right, so
There's a Reddit called D&D Circle Jerk, which basically just is people making fun of the posts that people make in like r/D&D or RPG horror stories, for just being just really, really stupid posts. And one of the posts that I believe was completely made up is basically this guy saying, "Guys, I am so happy. I found a group that wants me to DM for them. I found on this random message board, I found a group that was looking for a D/M. And obviously that means a DM. And so they said that they'd love to have me. There's only 2 of them. They said, I asked if I need to bring any equipment. They said, no, they've got rope and they've got collars and stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure. I think that means that they want me to bring like an entire, like I have my dwarven forge, so that'll be perfectly fine. And it's all of the responses after it are the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
To which one person goes, just remember the 2-finger rule. And somebody shows a clip of, I think it's guidance, the symbol for guidance from Baldur's Gate 3, which is just like this. And they go, that 2-finger rule? And they're like, no, not that 2-finger rule. There's a different 2-finger rule. And then they said Shibiri, and I stopped reading. But that's what I'm thinking of now.
there was a College Humor skit where they hired a dungeon mistress. All right, so
what was this?
are there vines? We can tie ourselves up with webs. Wait,
There are webs all around you. There are trees all around you. There are shrubs. There's not a ton of vines in this particular forest, but there's lots of other things that you could use to, for lack of a better term, create length. You could salvage branches and tie them together, or there's tons of stuff around.
Yeah, they even probably put clothing and belts and stuff.
Yeah.
Too.
I would say you guys would run out of clothes long before you got 600 sets.
Yeah.
But if you want to gather other materials, there is plenty around you. If that's what you guys want to do, I just want you all to roll me survival checks. Not so much to find if you can find this stuff, you will. This is basically going to be how many times do you hurt yourself while looking for them.
Okay.
Oh,
If I apply herbalism to willow bark,
I'll give you advantage for that.
I was being sarcastic, but you'll give that to me.
I'm fine with that. Like I said, this is mostly just to see, because again, this forest is very inhospitable to everyone. So if you're going to try taking pieces from it, it's going to try taking pieces from you. So that's what this survival check is about. So what do we got?
I got a 15.
15. Okay.
Same.
Another 15. Argenta.
I
What
don't,
am
I
I
don't know why I
rolling
rolled digital. That's, God damn it, I pulled a Chax.
again? What am I rolling again?
Survival.
Oh.
And I don't know if forests are a
Uh,
favored terrain, but if they are, you can have advantage.
They are a favored terrain.
Okay.
Let me just pull her sheet again. So I'm considered expertise. That means that becomes a 28.
Okay. Lillian?
Alright. Assuming I am not trying anything
Nope.
beyond
Good try, but no.
that.
This is just gathering
Natural
sticks.
one.
Not
With
one.
7 total.
Not bad. Okay, so,
I don't know if I could have given guidance to anybody while we were doing this.
for Relwyn and Vala, you guys both take. Relwyn, you take 5 points of piercing damage. Vala, you take 1 point of piercing damage.
I have 1 temporary hit point left. 'Cause
Lillian,
You all have temporary hit points.
Thank God for those. Thank God for those wonderful flapjacks this morning.
you take 11 points of piercing damage as you fall into like 3 different bushes. Argenta, you don't even need to go that far off the path. Like everyone else is like going deep into the woods to find your sticks, and you're just sitting there going, guys, the path is lined with trees. And so you just reach up and break off branches and nothing. Like you don't have to leave the path, nothing. You're just kind of chilling there while everyone comes back with like little scrapes and scars, and you're just chilling. So it will take you guys the better part of an hour to MacGyver this into effectively your wagon train. But using a combination of the rope that you have plus webs and other things that you find, you are able to eventually make this really, really long thing. And as soon as you guys kind of start moving, it takes you a little bit to kind of figure out how to cross both barriers at the same time, because you have to kind of go forward and then backwards and forward. But after finagling it a little bit, you eventually go and nothing looks familiar. After traveling for probably about 20 or 30 minutes, nothing looks familiar to you. So, after putting down your massive collection of sticks, webs, and other things, you think that you have gotten out of that area. And using just some basic mental math, you think you probably are only an hour away from the edge of the webwood. Unfortunately, though, that is where we're going to end it for today. As always, if you missed any of this, you can, I do upload all these to my YouTube channels, youtube.com/TrainerJody. Otherwise, again, that is all for me today. I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.